everybody, welcome to another video. So been out shopping yet again and bought a Porphis, an MPH 338. So this is a new minigun. Couple of things you get with it. You get a UNICEF ring, because apparently 5% of the purchase price goes in a donation to help children around the world. So if that all happens, then it can only be a good thing, I guess. So what you get is you also get a little badge actually, but anyway. So what you get is you get a minigun, you get a cup with it. Now the cup is actually 250 millilitres. It looks 250 millilitres. Yeah, in fact it is. But it's an odd thread. Now we'll get to the thread in a minute. I don't actually know what it is. It's nothing like anything else I'll get. You obviously get the normal spanner, a brush, and a quick couple connector with a sealing ring for the quick couple connector. I actually got a spare tip set. I got it in 0.8, so I bought the gun in 1.0 and the tip set in 0.8. I just had a quick look on their website, and the tip sets aren't on their website, so you would have to contact them, I would imagine, which is what I did. I didn't buy them on the website, I just contacted them and bought them via email effectively. So what you get is you get a minigun, which is actually very mini. Now those of you that know your spray guns will think to yourself, that looks very, very much like an Astro or a Star Evo T. I think it's the 106 TFG, the model number is. I haven't got one, but it looks very, very much like that. So I'm not sure whether Porphis borrowed the design or whether they work in collaboration with the Taiwanese company at all, with Star. I really don't know what's happened, but it is different. The controls are slightly different. You have an actual sealing ring there. Sorry, yeah, it is a ring really, I suppose. It's just a lock ring, that's the best way to call it, which you don't get on the Star. And there's also two Allen screws there, which is the same as the 625, 627, etc. So I'm really not sure whether this is completely Porphis' own design, or as I say, whether they shared the designing or what. I'm not sure, but anyway, the proof will be in the pudding. Build quality, I have had this out the box, and I haven't used it yet because I've literally just got it, but I have had it out the box and had a look at it. And it's actually very good, as you would expect. The styling probably a little bit old-fashioned, but you know, it doesn't matter really. I've always been function over form. What they told me when I inquired about this, because I originally inquired about these in December last year, and I was told that they were working on a minigun, but it was supposed to be due in April, but it's been much later than that. So I'm not quite sure what was going on there, but anyway, hopefully they feel that it's fit for market. It's certainly small, so to give you an idea of other guns, that's a DV1S, which is relatively small. Well, yeah, I mean, it is small by minigun standards really, and as you can see, this gun is, oh, hopefully you can see, considerably smaller. Actually doesn't look so much. You can see that completely hides it. So it is actually quite a bit smaller. There's an R160 ANI, and again you can see that this gun is smaller than the ANI. Definitely physically smaller. So a nice small little gun. So I got out also a Meiji. Let's take this gauge off, which is an F55, which is a small type gun. So this is like the LPH 50, LPH 80 size guns, small little guns, and then you can see that gives you an idea of the Porphis gun. So the Porphis is a bit bigger than something like the F55 or the LPHs, although the LPH 80 is a little bit bigger than this. So yeah, it's a physically small minigun. Now when they first brought this out, they had it in 1.0, 0.8 and 0.5. When I inquired about 0.5, they said it's only basically if you place an order for, I don't know, 200 guns or whatever, and you want a 0.5 specification, then they would do it in 0.5. But generally, it's only available in 0.8 and 1.0. We'll have a quick look at the gun, and then what we do is I'll do a spray out. I've set this up in 1.0, that up in 1.0, and this is a 0.8. They do this in 0.5 as well, but this is a 0.8. Cap is actually very good quality. Hopefully you can see that. But if you've got one of the star caps, you'll see it looks, well, it looks identical really, as far as I can see anyway. It does look identical. Why is this not focusing? That's better. Hopefully you can see that. But you have 2 holes top and bottom of the exit hole, and another 2 holes left and right of the exit hole, which, as I say, is exactly the same as the Star do. Air consumption on this is reckoned to be about 160 litres a minute, which is going to be, what's that, divided by 30, about 5 CFM, something like that. Yeah, about 5 CFM. Recommended use between 1 bar, so what's that, 14.5 psi, to 1.5 bar, which is about 21, something like that, psi. So what I'll do is I'll just give it a quick try, and we'll just give it do a spray out and just compare the fan sizes really to these. But I just wanted to get a video out there as soon as I got this so that you guys can see it, because this is probably one of the guns that I've been most asked about. It has a sealing system. It's a 10mm hex, by the way, which you get a spanner with it. I'm using the R160 spanner because there's a 10mm on it. But the sealing system is purely that taper there. So there's no sort of nylon O-rings or sealing rings or crush washers or anything like that. It's purely a metal, as you can see there, metal on metal seal. So it should be a reliable old gun, which is again what actually Star do. They make a reliable gun for reasonable money. This thing cost me 124 US dollars. As far as I know, it's on offer until the start of next month, so the 1st of August. It should go up, if what they're saying is correct. It should go up to about 150 US dollars. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what we'll see what it does. I'm not sure whether the pattern's going to be quite big for a small gun or whether it's going to be a small concentrated pattern, but we'll see, and we'll get an idea of what it's going to be like then. And then I'll get a proper video up of me using it, and we'll see what it's like, and then eventually we'll compare it to other miniguns and see what it's like. But going back to the thread, again, I've got loads and loads of different miniguns, but this is a different thread yet again. I'm not sure what it is. It looks something like a coarse M12, so M12 by 1.5 probably, something like that. But I guess it's going to be the same as the Star. I'm not sure. But anyway, I'm sure you'll be able to get a PPS adapter for it, but at the moment I really don't know what it is. If I do find out at a later date, which I probably will do, I'll put it in the description so that you can get an idea of what one it is. That worked well, didn't it? Of what one it is. Okay guys, so I'll put a camera on my head and we'll just see what sort of pattern we get with this. I'll do it with the 1.0 and I'll also do it with the 1.8. So I'll compare the 1.8 to the Meiji and I'll compare the 1.0 to these two. Just see what sort of pattern we get. But yeah, first look at the Porphis minigun. Okay, so we'll start with the Porphis, the MPH 338 with a 1.0 tip setup. I'm going to run it at 1.0 bar, so about 14.5 psi. I'll turn it up just to 1.5 bar, which again is the maximum recommended. I haven't used it yet, so I'm really not sure what it's sort of happy at and what it isn't, but we'll just see what the pattern's like. The fluid in this is actually a clear coat. It's a clear coat mixed with thinners, and the idea is that it won't go off. It won't start to cure. So that gives me time to muck about. But for those that are interested, it's 18 seconds through a Ford 4 cup or a DIN 4 cup, which is just a cup of a set size with a 4mm hole in it. So 18 seconds viscosity wise, which is about an average clear coat viscosity. So as I say, I'll try it first off at 1 bar, 14.5 psi. I need my trusty NSI water spanner, wherever that is. That's there. Now that's going to give us a distance of 7 inches. I expect I would probably spray a bit closer with it. Again, I don't know, but as long as we all do the same, it will give us an idea of pattern comparison and size. So in fact, I'll go here. So this is 1.0 bar. So that's an idea of size of pattern. I will go to 1.5. I don't think it will actually make much of a difference. Just see if the pattern actually separates, because I'm doing it obviously on full fan, but if the pattern separates, then it's too much pressure for the viscosity of the material. So let's try. No, it's held together fine. So yeah, you could definitely get away with using this with a bit more pressure. I'm just going to try it at 2 bar. I think that might be too much. It's above recommended pressure. We'll do that in the middle and see. Yeah, it's actually held together, so you'll get away with, by held together I mean that the pattern will start to separate. If you're putting too much air through for the material, the pattern will start to separate, so you'll end up getting top and bottom pattern, top and bottom heavy, but it's actually kept its pattern on all those, so it's going to be quite a universal as to what sort of pressures you can run that at. So what I'll do now is I'll swap over to the DV1S in 1.0 and see what sort of pattern that gives us, just to give us an idea of size. Then I'll get the tape measure out at the end and we can just go through the sizes of these. So next gun is going to be the DV1S. It's got the S1 cap on it, or should have the S1 cap on it. Yep, S1 cap. We're going to run this at 1.75 bar, which is about 26 psi, 25 psi. So 1.7. If you're wondering what gauge this is, it's actually an NSI water dial on a Meiji gauge. I damaged one of my Meiji gauges, or it became loose. I'm not sure whether I damaged it or not, but anyway, I had a NSI water gauge that was faulty, so I just amalgamated the two really. So it's actually a Meiji gauge with an iWater dial on it. So what we got? So this is about 1.75 bar, about the pressure you'd use it. Again, I'll do it at trusty water spanner distance, which is 7 inches, 175mm. So I'll put that on there, and we'll see. Again, I'll just try again. You can see quite a difference in pattern between the DV. I know these things. I know the DV1S is much more money. I'm just trying to show what sort of different patterns. It looks slightly drier at the top, and I think that's just because I've got the gun tilted back a bit. If I went like that, it would be fine. But yeah, quite different patterns for a 1.0, although these are renowned for their larger pattern. The ANI will be interesting because that's obviously well, it's actually a bit cheaper. Well, now it's probably very similar price wise to the Porphis gun. So we'll put some in the ANI and see what that does. So now we've got the ANI R160Q. They do a compact version of this. The gun is all the same. I'll try and remember to put a link in the description. But this is a 1.0 version. It's the twin air hold version. If you've got an old one of these, especially the R150, but the early R160, they only had one hole in each side. of the air cap. So this actually gives a bigger pattern than the original R160 and the R150. But in fact, I think it was the R150 they changed, and all the R160s have the 2 holes. But you'll be able to see anyway, if you've got 2 holes, so 4 in total in the air horns, you have the newer type R160. And by that I mean sort of like 5-6 years ago they changed that. Anyway, so this I normally use for clear coat at about 3.5 bar, believe it or not. It really does need that pressure. If you're worried about air consumption, I'll put a link in the description which covers most, not the Porphis and that because it's new, but covers most of these guns, and it gives you an idea of how long they will last on a compressor of a certain size. So that might help you make up your mind. But anyway, 3.5 bar. We'll do it the same distance as the others. As I say, 1.0. And again, we'll just do it again just to make sure. I don't know why that was going off sideways. Oh, it must have been me holding the gun off sideways. Oh, that looks stupid, doesn't it? But anyway, you get the idea. So that's the DV1S has got by far the biggest, longest eye pattern, as you would call it. The ANI actually puts out quite a lot of material, you can see that. So I expect this is going to be more, and it would make sense I suppose because it's physically small, it's going to be more in the realms of the LPH 50s, LPH 80 type guns, you know, where they're more smaller and precise. But only using it will actually show that. But anyway, sorry that looks such a mess, it's just I was holding the gun sideways. But anyway, we'll try the Porphis with a 0.8 now, and then we'll finish off with a milli in the 0.8, just to give us an idea of where this thing actually lies. Okay, so the Meiji F55, this is a 0.8, it's available in 0.8 and 0.5. Incidentally, there's a UK importer for Meiji now, so if you're in the UK they do import this one as well, so you can buy Meiji products for an official importer, so you know, you get back up with the spare parts, etc. I'll put a link in the description so that you can see that if you want to. So I normally run this at about between 1 and 1.5 bar depending what I'm spraying. So I'll try it at 1 bar and we'll spray it at 1.5 bar, which is what we did with the Porphis basically. So 1 bar. Again, the distance, what I do with my spanner, I used it to change the tip over on the Porphis. So 7 inches away. Again, we'll just do it again. Now, it's much more comparable to the Porphis, bear in mind that's a 1.0. We'll see the 0.8 in a second, but you can see these are sort of what I call micro guns really. So I think that's definitely what the Porphis is trying to be, rather than with the ANI and the DV1S, they're trying to be a little bit more. So we'll see what the 0.8 does. Okay, so Porphis minigun again. I've changed the tip set. So in the tip set you get obviously a tip, you get a different needle, and you get a different cap. The cap looks the same to me. Markings, well, there's no markings on the additional one, but they look the same to me. The tip is definitely different, it's definitely a smaller tip in this one, and the needles actually look the same, so I think it's only the tip that's different. But let's see where we go. We haven't left ourselves much space here, have we? So let's have a go in between. So again, 7 inches away, 175 mil. Pressure, got that. So one bar to start with. So you can see that because it was running at a lower pressure when I initially started, it means that this is using more air than the F55, which you would probably expect because the F55 is very low in air consumption, something like 2.5, 2.8 bar, something like that I think. So 1 bar, and we'll go here. Not left ourselves much room, have we? And we'll try at 1.5 bar. and I will do one next to the 1.0 so that we can see what the difference between the 0.8 and the 1.0 is. Oh, I think we've run out of fluid. We have run out of fluid. Right, back again with some fluid in the gun. So 1.5 bar. Well, it's definitely much more than the 0.8, but it looks very similar to the 1.0. So let's go over to the 1.0. As I say, we haven't left ourselves much room here. I'll just try and go one next to it, and I'll do it at 1.5 bar, which was the one here, if I remember right. It was 1.5 bar, and we'll see what difference the 0.8 is to the 1.0. Yeah, it's slightly smaller, isn't it? Slightly smaller pattern, still seems to flow out the same amount of material. What you would expect, I suppose. So, yeah, I mean, looking at that, it actually looks quite interesting, because it looks like it may well be somewhere between what these are trying to be and what the little, like the LPHs are trying to be. But we'll see anyway. I'll get a proper test up of it, and then we'll do our normal thing. We'll get a couple of panels out and you know, try them back to back to each other. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed the video as always. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. Sorry guys, I signed off a bit early. We were going to look at the sizes of these patterns. There's not much different between the 0.8 and the 1.0, although the pressure is different. It's 1.5 there, and that was 1.5. So yeah, probably similar, but 1.8 on the Porphis, that's at 1.5 bar. So what's that, 21 psi, 22 psi, is around about 6 inches, maybe 7 inches. And with it, the same gun with the 1.0 tip on it, around about 7.5 inches. So it is a slightly bigger pattern, with the pressure turned down, about the same pattern as that, about 6.5 inches. The DV1S, much bigger pattern, around about 10.5 inches. Not so much material. You can see where it is nowhere near as dark, and that's because there's not enough material, or not as much material has been put on as in these other ones that look darker. ANI, quite a rough pattern really, but we're looking probably usable pattern of around about 7 inches, 6.5, 7 inches. That's just a mess. That's my fault, nothing to do with the gun. The Porphis in 0.8, well, we've already seen it there, but this was at a lower pressure. Again, about 6.5 inches pattern wise for a 1.0 bar, so 14.5 psi. Meiji F55 0.8, much more of a finer gun this, I guess. We're looking at a pattern there of about 4 inches, which is why I'm thinking that this Porphis, or that Porphis, with these patterns over here, I'm thinking it's going to rest somewhere between these guns. So it could be interesting to see what it actually like. Anyway guys, thanks as always for watching. Bye bye.